It's your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. It is your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again with another episode of Captain Hunter's podcast. Please make sure that you do me a couple of favors here. Please make sure that you rate, subscribe, and share. Number one, and number two, is you head over to my other channels, LMH Consulting Services, LMH Consulting Services, where I talk about more about police issues. Also, Big L PhD, where I talk about educational issues in my journey to doctorship. So, with that being said, this is going to be a brief video. I always say that, but then it ends up being 40, 50 minutes or so. So, this is a reaction to a reaction. So, the young lady down here, you can see her name there. I knew it, but I'm not going to go back. I know I should do a little bit more research about this, but her name is down there, right? She's been added by someone who I enjoy listening to, Dr. Thunder. He does a kind of a morning kind of, I don't even know if you could call it pick-me-up, morning session, usually about 8:30 or so in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, in which he talks about, ways that, I think that he talks about ways that men can improve and just noticing different things. And so he does some reactions, and sometimes he does his own original content. So for today, what he did is, you can see the title of this as Pick Me Says BWs or Black women are out of order. And this particular lady, he is doing a reaction to, is giving ways in which women, Black women in particular, are out of order and ways to correct themselves. So over here in this channel, my channel, I'm trying to help men become the best versions of themselves. I'm trying to become the best versions of themselves. And I'm not interested in talking to the ladies. I think that that's her job. I think that, and she's given what her advice would be. My issue is what she's going to say, and what I like Dr. Thunder. So let me just preface this with that. I like Dr. Thunder. I'm going to continue to support him. I have donated to him and watch his channel, subscribe, thumbs up him, and all that kind of stuff. But the problem, actually I was watching this on another one of my channels here. So let me make sure that I give him another thumbs up for this, just so people can say I had to give him the thumbs up. So there it is. So the problem that I have with this particular point of view is her third point here. Now, she's given other points. You can go over to her video and watch it. You can go to Dr. Thunder's and watch his analysis, his breakdown, and all that. But it's not relevant for what I want to talk about. I want to talk about her third point here. I think it's like 5 points, or 5 or 6 points, or something like that, about ways that turn Black women can improve or are out of control or whatever. And the third point is the attitude. Now, from here, the attitude centers on the use of a smile. Black women should be more friendly, and they should smile more when interacting with, walking by, greeting Black men. This is something that Kevin Samuels and probably others have said. The first one and only one I've ever heard really say it has been Kevin Samuels, and other people have been parroting that ever since. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree. I don't agree that it's your job as a Black man to be the recipient. Well, let me put it like this. I don't think it's your job, Black women, or any woman, to cheer up intentionally, to try to go out of your way to cheer up someone else that you see on the street. I have a daughter. I don't want her walking down the streets smiling at every man that she comes in contact with. I don't. I don't want her doing that. I don't want my mother doing that. When I was married, I didn't want my wife doing that. I don't even understand why this is a thing. I think he was wrong about that. I've often said I agree with about 80% of what Kevin Samuels said, and that was one of the 20% things that I didn't agree with. I don't think you owe anybody a smile, to chip their day, and to smile from a pretty woman. What if it's not a pretty woman? Should you still smile? I don't understand why this is a thing. And we're going to try to listen to the rationale here, and maybe it can convince you, but it's just my thoughts and my opinion that's the way that it is. So enough of me talking. Let's get into the video.
The third way is attitude. And this is something that in the YouTube comments I have seen repeatedly black men talk about the attitudes of black women. And, you know, if you go back to Kevin Samuels' videos, he talked about the lack of smiling.
What's happening, Derek Mills? Yeah, and she's talking about the unwillingness to smile. The seeing is seeing smiling as some sort of indication of weakness, or subservience, or playing into a historically feminine role, as a signal that you're second fiddle because you smile. You know, yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff, and some of it is because a lot of black women have gone through significant trauma, and they may have a hard time smiling. They don't smile because it's a reflection of how they actually feel. What's happening in Freeman's Journal? How they feel deep down or whatever.
Okay, so I can actually dig that they may be going through something, and it's it's coming out in their attitude, their presence, and their demeanor. Okay, and I'm making a distinct. Let me be very clear here. I'm making a distinction between just going through something in a day to day and intentionally smiling at men. There's a distinction between having a pleasant demeanor about yourself and intentionally smiling at men. And this is what they're talking about here. If this was just about, okay, try to cheer yourself up, try to have a more pleasant demeanor, that would be no issue. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But this is what Kevin Samuels said, is about smiling at men. You can't get people to smile at men. You don't owe them anything. Ladies, you don't owe a man smile, and men, you shouldn't be looking for a smile. And the real big problem I have with that is that it's not going to stop there. We know it. If a man is walking down the street, in a store, at a fair, at a carnival, at a festival, at a play, at a comic show, and you see some woman smile at you, they're going to take it as an invitation to start a discussion. And next thing you know, he's going to come up to you and he's going to start talking to you. He's going to want your number. And unless you want that type of attention, I'm not saying be a complete negative Nilly and have a resting bee face. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying it's not incumbent upon you to rescue this man from his despair with a smile. Find that happy middle ground. That's my point. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't know why he pushed that. I've heard other people in this space push that. I could not agree with that more. I could not. If my daughter was saying, I was smiling at people at the gym, I'm trying to be friendly, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, I would tell her, and she was telling me that, if she told me that, I know the response would be that they want to ask me for my number, they want to talk to me, want to holler at me, I just want to lift my weights, I just want to do my routine, I just want to do whatever. I know that would be. So I would tell her to stop smiling. It is an invitation. I'm not saying to do the complete opposite, but you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. And you should not feel obligated to do it.
And I don't want to dismiss that totally. I don't want to treat that's not an issue, but it's not just black women that go through things, right? Other women have gone through things, but it just seems as though the cultural norm is for our women not to smile. Is basically almost to scowl at you.
That could be because of the trauma that they've seen, right? Black women have been through a lot from their own men, from other men. If they've come off too friendly to the they're working at somebody's house as a maid or whatever, and they smile too much at the master of the house or the son, or the next thing you know, things are happening to her. So she's learned not to do that. Respect that space. Again, yes, let's work away from the resting bee phase and a completely unapproachable demeanor like you've been, to quote my former late pastor, looking like you've been sucking on lemons and pickle juice. Let's find the happy medium there.
Now, I'm going to say something, though, because I have noticed that since the pandemic, post-pandemic, we'll say, that there seems to be somewhat of a different dynamic that I'm perceiving. Okay? That I actually am noticing more black women smiling. Okay? That's something that I have started to notice. All right. And it makes you kind of wonder if a lot of this sort of relationship discussion surrounding certain things that black men say that they want has sort of started to have an impact on the way that people are sort of interacting, because they don't want to seem to be uninterested, or at least want to seem friendly.
Nothing wrong with seeming friendly. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's your obligation to go around cracking smiles and showing people your teeth every time you see somebody. In particular, every time you see a black man. I just don't agree with that. Have a pleasant demeanor. Yes.
Right. Hold the line. Right. Creole show. Right.
I will say with this one, it is a bit subjective in terms of, a woman could be like me. A lot of my life, men have approached me and say, "Oh, smile." And a lot of times I'm not deep in thought, so it has nothing to do with me being mean or rude. I might just be deep in thought, and therefore I'm not smiling.
What's happening?
Who walks around with just cracking a smile all the time? I just don't see it. And why would you go up to someone and just say smile? That's generally, and ladies out there, tell me if I'm wrong. It's generally an invitation. If you're smiling at somebody, don't you want them to come up to you? And if you're not, right? I heard a comedian say that one time. She's a little small, little comedian, female lady. She said, somebody's in the club and, how come you're not smiling? The guy comes up to her and says, "How come you're not smiling?" She said, "I was hoping it would stop you from coming over here." So maybe they just don't want to be bothered, right? So maybe they just don't want to be bothered. So let's respect their space, respect their ability to be in deep thought, respect whatever traumas and or good sensations, memories, ideas that's going on in their head. Let's not try to prejudge, and stop expecting that every woman that you come in contact with needs to be a happy bowl of joy every time you see them. It's always peaches and cream and rainbows and flowers. I don't understand why this is such a big thing. And this is not taking it to the extreme of being nasty when you interact with them, their attitude. Everybody doesn't want to be approached. I don't want my wife smiling at everybody. I don't want my girlfriend smiling at everybody, every man. I don't want my daughter smiling. I know what that brings.
Marcus, but here's the difference though, because I can give you that. I can say, okay, you're thinking about something, and that's what you look like when you're thinking. That's fine. But what do you do when someone asks you to smile? Do you scowl even more? Do you get an attitude?
I'd be upset. I would be upset. Why do I owe you a smile? I adjusted something here. Why do I owe you that? What makes you think I owe you that? What makes you think I owe you that? Again, I'm not advocating for walking around looking like you've been sucking on lemons and drinking pickle juice. But come on, man. This space is designed to help men become the best versions of themselves. And I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's right nor acceptable to walk around telling men that they should expect women to smile at all times. I don't think it's good, healthy, right, or acceptable to expect that and to go up to women who are not in this place and think it's your job to cheer them up. If she's going through something, let her go through it. If she don't feel like smiling, she won't do it. If she feel like smiling at you, then you smile back. If you see a ring on her finger, keep it moving. Maybe she's just being friendly.
See, at that point, that will be your opportunity to just smile. Because that shows a couple things. That shows, first of all, that you're capable of smiling. Right? It shows that maybe you were just preoccupied with something and that your natural state of being is not to be scowling. But it also shows that you're at least somewhat compliant. You're at least somewhat compliant. Right?
Listen, I know that we in this space want women who are fit, feminine, friendly, compliant, easygoing, nurturing. If she's not, she's not. No one has an obligation. Here's where I disagree. No one has an obligation to show me that. This woman who I just met for the first time, or seen in a store, or comedy show, or concert, wherever I see her at, has no obligation to show me that she's compliant. If she is a natural way compliant, it'll just come out. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to show it. You don't have to demonstrate it. You don't have to do any of that. We got to make men the best versions of themselves. We got to make men the best versions of themselves. Let the women talk to the women. Let the ladies talk to the ladies. It's not my obligation to do this. To tell you. What she's saying is about attitude. I completely disagree about this. I completely, utterly disagree about that. Because it doesn't demonstrate anything. All it demonstrates is, for a brief moment in time, I can put a facade on to make you think something. That's not what I'm interested in. That's not what men should be interested in. Should be interested in the character, right? The character and the underneath should be what is important. That's why makeup and wigs and weaves and all this other stuff, all that, the beauty vanishes. It goes away, and a smile can dissipate. What really is important is the inner character, and let that come through. If that's not the place that she's at, and she's not demonstrating that, then keep it moving.
Right? And that's a plus.
I do want to honor and respect the fact that in the last year and a half since I've been making YouTube videos, I have seen men bring this up in the comment section repeatedly, that it is an issue.
Why?
To their environment.
Why are you men bringing that? I'm not talking about attitudes, right? When they talk to somebody who's just mean, it's got just a rattlesnake. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. With this smiling thing, let's let her cook.
Where they come from, if they come from a rough area, maybe they're from the south side of Chicago, maybe they're from West Philly, somewhere like that. You clearly probably don't want to go around smiling at everybody, so there is.
I don't know, Nika. I don't think you have to be, cheesing, but you can at least have I think it's hard to fake certain things, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
why do you even want it?
Because what I actually like about a smile, it's a smile that's actually an honest reflection of what a person is experiencing, or their sort of general state of being. Exactly.
And that should be natural. Stop telling people to come out of their natural state of being. Stop doing that. If this is the place that she is mentally, let her be there. What? I don't understand. Let her go through, be through, work through, go through whatever she's going through. Let her be there. Stop putting pressure on people to get out of a place that they're at. Let them come through it naturally. Let them work on themselves naturally. If they come from a place, I mean, she called out some cities. If they come from a place where whatever traumas are going through, let them go through therapy, go through what you got to go through in order to get to where you want to be. And this idea that it shows men that you're willing to cooperate. And listen, I am not interested in, I'm not interested in that. And I don't think anybody else should be. Just be who you are. Be yourself. That's what we're trying to get men to do, right? If men stop feeding into this energy, think about what I'm saying here, right? We don't always want to talk about dating and stuff, but I'm trying to help men become the best version of yourself. If you stop feeding into this type of energy, it'll stop existing in the world. If every single woman who's scowling and not having a good time is just ignored, particularly, you're not going to be able to ignore everyone. Somebody's going to hit on you. But particularly by men of character, men of culture, men of means, these high value so-called men, those type of men don't ever talk to you. And if you ask them, how come you never talk to me? How come, guys? Because all I ever see is a smile. Then that will get into their mind that they need to change their demeanor, change their character, and change their nature. And they'll tell that to their daughters, hopefully, and to their nieces, and to their cousins, and to their play cousins, and to their sisters, and that's how you get it to change. But men of value have to tell them to be themselves. And demonstrate and through ignoring them. But twisting arms and having these panel discussions when you're telling them that this is going to make you more palatable, that ain't going to work. Not to mention, it'll work. And if it does work, it'll work for a little while. And sooner or later, they'll be right back to where they were. Whatever trauma, whatever issue, they got to go through it.
So if that person has a sort of baseline of joy, and even when things that don't happen their way, they still have that sort of baseline of a sort of brightness, that really comes through the smile, right? It's what I love about my wife, and when we met and everything, she's smiling all kind of crazy, but her smiling never came off as sort of being put on or just like an external thing. Now I know that she wants to appear inviting. That's part of why she smiles.
Inviting to you. She was interested in you. Women should not walk around smiling at every dude, particularly if they're not interested in them and they're not being inviting to them. Why are we advocating for that in this space?
But that's just how she feels. That's how she is. She's just warm and inviting, and she's smiley because of that. And that's what I enjoy more than anything, not just trying to get somebody to smile, but that there's something internally that the smile is reflecting. And
it should be reflecting something that's on the inside. So the work that has to be done is to get that to be first initiated on the inside. Give them something to smile about. Your bills are paid. You feel beautiful. You have done emotional, psychological work. You got a new job. You got a new car. Those are things that they have to work on from their own internal intrinsic values in order to get there. And therefore, then they will be beaming and radiant. Not that many people are beaming at 8 o'clock in the morning when they just got up and they got to go to work, right? They just have to drop the kids off at the daycare or whatever, or the rent is due and all this other stuff, right? So let them be where they are. Stop trying to force things out of people that is just not internally, intrinsically in them. Why is this an issue in this space?
To that end, and to the defense of, black women that don't walk around with a smile on their face, maybe they're not there. But as I said, what happens when someone asks you to smile? That's also that is telling. If you scowl more, if you act offended, you cuss them out, like that, then obviously that says all they would need to know. But also, if you smile, that says something. What's happening, Bill Stillman? And I don't think women realize how powerful them just smiling is. I don't think they realize. I don't think y'all realize how powerful that is. If you think about it, most men labor in obscurity, right? And we are hyper evaluated all the time, right? We're judged all the time based on our the work of our hands, based on our utility, and that's how our value is judged. Well, what can you do for me? That's how we value. I'm sorry. That's how we are valued. And what's happening, Mr. Dymac? It can be a really kind of isolating is not what I want to say, but it is. It can be a hard way to go. Let's put it that way. And so, with this sort of the way that we experience the world, and how the world is a mean place and doesn't really have very much empathy or compassion that it extends to men, I'll tell you, a smile from a pretty woman, from a pretty girl, that can be really healing, even.
Brother Thunder, Brother Dr. Thunder. The world is a bad place. Men are treated harsh. Men have to get their value from out of the mud, become the best versions of themselves. Men have to make themselves something. Men have to put in some grit, grime, extra hours. Men are going through it. Men, it's not a woman's job to smile at you because you're going through that, to show appreciation for that. It is your woman's job to do that. When you come through the door after a long day's work, when I came through the door and saw my woman waiting for me at the door, saw my daughter at the door, that made it all worth it. It's not a random stranger's job to do that. It's not a random stranger's job to do that. I cannot for the life of me. I got to be missing something here. I'm not disagreeing that a woman smiling at you is not healing. I'm disagreeing that it's some stranger's job to do it. Your mother should do it. Your daughter should do it. Your girlfriend, your sister. It's not, and they should all show their appreciation. But we've got to stop. We got to stop asking ladies to do this, and we got to stop the men from expecting this from complete strangers. I don't understand this. Please help me where I'm missing this. I'm going to play a little bit more. This is all I want to play from this. I want you to go over to, even though I disagree with this particular segment, I genuinely enjoy I genuinely enjoy Dr. Thunder's analysis of ideas. But I just think that he and Kevin Samuels are just wrong about this. And this whole space that advocate for this is just wrong about this. And I think that it's, I'm confused as to why this continues to be an issue. And I made this because I don't like it. because I think it makes us look weak and look like we're begging as men. It shows a lack of masculinity in my estimation, right? If somebody doesn't want to smile at me, you got to keep it moving, man. You got to give people a reason to smile. And if they don't have that internal joy and all this kind of stuff, we talk about being energy vampires and all that. Don't let anybody steal your joy. And that's for the ladies too who are not smiling, right? Work on yourself and get your smile back. Men, work on yourself to get your smile back. Give yourself something to smile about. Take yourself out. Take yourself to lunch. Get yourself a massage. Do what you got to do in order to improve yourself. But stop asking the ladies to do it, because I don't think it's fair to ask strangers to do it. I don't think it's fair to ask that of ladies to put that on that you can brighten up somebody's day by your smile. That's not your job. You don't. It's nice if you do it. Of course, it's nice if you do it, but don't feel obligated to do it. I don't think men should be walking around complaining about that these women won't smile. I think it makes you look weak. I don't think it makes you the best version of yourself. Listen, work on yourself and give somebody a reason to want to be in your presence. Give somebody a reason to want to hang around you, to give you phone calls, to send you text messages, to want to be in your presence. Work on your own interior. Give them something to smile about. Let me play a little bit more of this and we'll cut it off.
And so, for something that doesn't cost anything, something that is not hard to do, it's like, man, y'all aren't even willing to brighten someone else's day by just smiling. And so that's a sentiment. So so a woman that is willing to smile, she always has an advantage over practically every other woman. So anyhow, let's keep going.
Often reasons why Black women may have a tougher exterior, but I think there are some issues with us sometimes recognizing when we need to crack that wall, when we need to sort of soften up. We don't have to be hardcore with everybody. And so I wanted to highlight number 3 again, the attitude.
Yeah, but one of the problems too, though, is if you've prioritized your career, and in order to, be promoted and to get out here and, be a boss and all this, you have to take on feminine characteristics.
I'm gonna fast forward this. I kind of want to hear.
So yeah.
And this is something I want to delve into a little bit more as we move on and go further. The 4th.
So she's moving on to the 4th. You can either go to her channel, Miss Neka. O'Neil04. Neka O'Neil04. Or you can go to Dr. Thunder's channel to check out the full clips there. And this smiling thing really, really, it bothers me. It bothers me that we get some oil for that. It bothers me that this is continually, every time I see this in so many different platforms. And this is not to pick on Dr. Thunder here. He's doing a great job. I just see this in so many platforms, and Smile and comments and Facebook. I see it. Listen, we're all going through something, and I understand the reasons for it, the rationales for it, and we're going through something, and we prioritize other things. We've got traumas from the past. Work on yourself. But to the men, stop. This is, again, I want to talk to the men out there. I leave the ladies to talk to the ladies, and this is something that Miss Neka, she's doing the right thing. She's talking to the women, right? So I want to talk to the men. Stop looking for that. Stop looking for that. Stop asking women to smile. Stop it. Makes you look weak. I don't look like going to somebody. Why don't you smile? God. All right. Let me know your thoughts, your opinion. Am I way off on this or what? Hit me up. Subscribe to these individuals, Ms. NECA, to Dr. Thunder. Rate, subscribe, and share all of these information. Hit me up in the comments if you agree, disagree. all that. Much love and peace, everyone.